When you say the SSNIT issue keeps getting murkier and murkier, I beg to differ. I don't see how it's getting murkier and murkier. I think that is the approach of the person who brought it out. I mean, it's not like what was being done was a secret. This is a process that has gone through the various processes, gone through tendering at the various levels of looking for people to participate in it. They've gone through the procurement processes and all that. But it's the bit about how the whole issue, making it look like processes have been breached and all that. Why is SSNIT? As I said here, I'm still contributing to SSNIT. I believe you are, I believe Louisa is, and a number of people who are yet to get to the compulsory retirement age of 60. So you and I are the ones paying for those enjoying their retirement benefits now technically. What does SSNIT want to do with this sale of shares of these hotels? It's not only for them to improve the sales of or the profits of these hotels. It's also to deal with risks of investment and other things. The rate at which, when you look at the financials and the trend of profit making of these hotels, are they sustainable? Look, we need to be very open about these things. And this whole conversation comes back to what we're talking about, the conversation on legalization of food, which is stakeholder engagement. SSNIT thought we're doing the right thing but didn't do the level of engagement. I remember when I had the opportunity to make a comment with regards to the new the DG, the head of the Director General. When you go on to SSNIT's social media handles, they give so much information in addition to how much they get every month. But it's difficult to see what they are using the money for. So there's some information gap between the one making the contribution. Okay, so I've given you 1,000 this month as a contributor. What is my 1,000 doing? They haven't really been able to put those informations out, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are. But when you listen to them, even when you listen to organized labor, they have reps. How many reps on the board? 4. There was a conversation at the board. There was a board meeting that discussed these things. So it's not like anybody was oblivious of what decision was being taken.
Yeah.
But the moment we move the conversation from what is being done, the essence of what is being done, to personalities, then we have issues. Because if we're going with the entity Rock City, without making it seem as if the Agric Minister went to commandeer SSNIT to sell hotels to him, I don't think we'll be where we are. Organized labor spoke to the president. He engaged them. The issue was referred to the labor ministry to come up with it. SSNIT has been explaining, and throughout the explanation of it, I haven't heard, and I stand to be corrected, where they've breached any process of it. Because that the scheme needs to be sustained for you and I 20 years, 15 years, 10 years down the line. We may be in active service now, but most people in this country rely on it. There's been a lot of conversations about how a teacher will work for 35 years, how a teacher will work for 40 years, 20 years, and retires and is just giving some amount of money. I mean, for those who get even the lump sum at the end of it, get something substantial, but how much is it? So if measures are being put in place to raise capital to sustain the scheme, I don't think it's a wrong thing to be done. Some aspect of it is also with trash. So I was quite surprised when there was a protest on the streets. Because if you've been to the president and the issue has been referred to the labor minister who is responsible for all these labor-related issues to come out with a report.
Okay, go ahead.
With a report, right? Some aspects of it is with trash. The labor is still engaging, SSNIT is engaging stakeholders and all that. I think where we've got into, we need to all open our minds, look at what SSNIT wants to do. Is what they want to do going to inure to the benefit of the scheme? Because don't also forget that there's a report from ILO, and SSNIT is actually the one that commissions that report that says the scheme is not sustainable as it is now. What are the measures we do? And for me, okay, it opens up the conversation. What are the things to be done to make SSNIT sustainable? Because some people may have other forms of income, but the majority of public servants, the majority of SSNIT contributors, whose only survival, if not from their children or other family members, is SSNIT. So whatever can be done to shore up and sustain this, then I think that should be our focus,
but
and the focus for everybody.
As you refer to the ILO reports,
yes,
and the Director General also confirms it.
Yes.
And he said, in what I read, which I said you should pay attention to earlier, says that the rationale for the investment decision included consistent losses. The question is, why should there be consistent losses? Frequent request for maintenance funding. Why so? High capital expenditure and the need for strategic partnership. Why the high capital expenditure? What is the proof of this high capital expenditure by SSNIT managers and its board or whoever is in charge? Why? Why should we arrive at this point? So, if you listen to the arguments of Okudzeto Ablakwa, you cannot but agree with him that we help to run down businesses. And then when we finish, we say, oh, it's not working, so let's sell it. And then when we have to sell it, we sell it to ourselves. People who are in the circle of governance and know the state of some of these state institutions and have the capacity, as in the private capacity, to purchase, they purchase.
Honey,
that's what's happening.
Honey, look, when you go on that tangent, I mean, it's the attitude of all of us, users and managers of public entities. The culture, where you are buying there, they deal with it anyhow. It's something that has been pervasive in our culture. Do we want to have a frank conversation on that? Let's do that. With all due respect to our health workers, because that is one of the key things that affects us in our daily lives. Compare services at a public health facility to services of a private health facility. If you have the choice today to go to a public health facility as against a private health facility, which one will you choose? Let's be very frank about this.
So why do you think managers of institutions behave
Let me build my point. You choose the private sector because the person there has invested their resources and wants to sustain it and reap their benefits. But the interesting thing is, most of these people running the best of services at these private health facilities are the same people at our public services generally. Why is it so? It's the attitude you and I attach to it. Because government entities are not necessarily for profit. That doesn't mean they shouldn't make profit. The attitude. Look, if you want to fire a public servant today, the processes you will go through before. But a private man, in lieu of 3 months of notice, pay you off something, you are gone. So it's not just about, it's the system that we have created. So someone is working in a public service, thinks I can drag myself to work at any time that I like, but will be at a private institution. It's a system we've created. And I don't believe that I'm of the school of thought that when you want to heal something, you just don't put the medication on the top of it. When you have a sore, you clean it up before you put the medicine on it. You just don't put the medicine on it. From what you said, that when you go on the argument of Okujeto Ablakwa, that we help run systems down and then come out and say, let's give it to private. It's a system that it's not only SSNIT.
Yeah, I agree with you, because last week.
So if you go on that, then we need to have a proper conversation in this country.
On health. That is also another,
and that's not the only sector.
Area. But since this is what we're discussing,
even institutions, why are most of us taking our children to private institutions, private schools? Why are most of us taking our children to private schools? Okay. Look, the ordinary Ghanaian. We've had this conversation before during the district level election. The ordinary Ghanaian who live in a neighborhood, roads are bad. Something about what's the first thing the person does? They save to buy a bigger car, a 4-wheel drive that will sustain it. It's a conversation we should have on both sides. Leadership is complacent.
Yeah, but you see,
citizens are complacent.
No, but you see, Lawuratu, when you even say that, it's a conversation we should have both sides. Yeah?
Yes, it's a conversation
we should have both sides. At every point in time,
we need to be frank about this. What did you say? We pretend about most of our problems.
At this point,
conversations about some of these
we have a brilliant opportunity to put the system in check.
Yes.
With regards to SSNIT, it has been constant that anytime SSNIT is unable to manage some company, or they run it down, they sell. They run it down, they sell. They run it down, they sell. This is an example. Okay. When it came to the president told organized labor that go back to the negotiation table. It means that he's saying that go and negotiate well and sell it, still sell it.
Oh, but saying go back to the negotiation table doesn't necessarily go back and
so why can't he just
go back to the negotiation?
Put a stop to the sale.
If you go back to the negotiation table, and look, if we're going to talk about this conversation about, it's not only SSNIT that is either liquidating, diversifying their things, or going into
I'm not, hold on, for now I'm not going to look at other institutions. I'm looking at SSNIT. I'm saying that the president had a brilliant opportunity to say, put a stop to the sale. Let me take a review on how these companies,
going back to the negotiation table,
on how these companies were run down. How did we get here? Come and answer me. Tell me how we got here.
Going back to the negotiation table is what?
I'm not going into the negotiation. I'm saying that the
you were expecting the president to say stop.
A brilliant, because you're saying that.
But what is going back to the negotiation table?
We have all established that let us not be hypocritical. Let's face the problem and tackle the problem from the base, as you use the saw as an example.